So 2025 was a thing. I wanted to do more videos, but defending a master's thesis and starting a PhD is a lot of work. Also, one of the videos I did was this dope look at the epistemology of ignorance and Star versus the Forces of Evil, and nobody watched it! So, go watch that when you're done here. Anyway, it kind of felt like a lackluster year in terms of movies, but the television was good. Or maybe I was just too busy to notice what was going on. In any case, here's some of the stuff from 2025 that I thought was outstanding and in no particular order. The Pitt. HBO has knocked it out of the park with their brand new medical drama. The show follows Dr. Michael Robbie Rabinovich and the doctors, med students, nurses, and social workers of the Pittsburgh Medical Trauma Center as they attempt to survive a singular, grueling 15-hour shift. This is a medical drama like you've never seen before. No punches are pulled as the creative crew behind the classic show ER pulls back the curtain on what healthcare actually looks like for both patients and healthcare providers. Gruesome and brutally honest, The Pitt is a depiction of both the injuries and the mental well-being of everyone that comes into contact with the broken medical system in the United States. While the show highlights the highs and lows of providing care for a community, it is the final 4 to 5 episodes that were truly jaw-dropping. Expert writing, excellent acting, and superb attention to detail draw you into the world of healthcare without talking down to you or waiting for you to catch up. This is probably as close to being in the ER as a TV show can get you, and it's absolutely riveting. I've watched it front to back 4 to 5 times, and a few of the episodes more than that. If I could only recommend one thing to watch this year, it would be The Pitt. You can hear my thoughts on the show as a whole in this episode of This Is a Thing, or you can catch The Pitt on Max or whatever it's called, and I would do so soon because Season 2 premieres in early January. Severance Season 2. The existential and antinatalist horror returns in the much-anticipated second season of Apple TV's canopsic thriller. Mark Scout and his innie, Mark S., are trying to unravel the knotted conspiracy of the Lumen Corporation in parallel. But things only become more complicated when it's not clear who might be an innie and who's only pretending. Furthermore, how will the innies and outies reconcile their identities when there's only one body on the line? This season answers some of the burning questions left hanging from the last season, but introduces more questions in their stead. The stakes feel higher, and the interpersonal drama feels much more meaningful, particularly between Mark S. and Mark Scout. But I have to say, the highlight for me this season was Milchek, who despite drinking the Kool-Aid, is forced to confront some of the interesting truths about the nature of racism present in the Lumen Corporation's supposed utopic vision. The implications of labor are also given a new dimension, as sexual labor and body autonomy are presented to the innies, in a way that goes beyond just child labor. While I think the first season was stronger overall, there are some episodes in Season 2 that were phenomenal, and the world building and conspiracy elements of the show, and its very strange aesthetic, have only gotten stronger. I'm very much looking forward to Season 3 because the show has the potential to be a highlight of the whole decade. You can hear my thoughts on Season 1 and the show as a whole on this episode I did, and you can catch Season 1 and 2 of Severance on Apple TV. K-pop Demon Hunters. The absolute queens of the summer came in the form of this breakout surprise mega hit. I was totally unaware that this was even coming out until I watched it on a whim, and I was floored. The online hype around this movie may seem over the top, but it is well deserved. The comedic timing is on point, the animation is fluid and dynamic, the visuals are gorgeous and match the story perfectly. If someone pitched me a movie about a demon-fighting K-pop girl group, I would have assumed you were talking about an anime or a children's cartoon. And while this is still animated and definitely aimed at children, I definitely would have watched it even if it wasn't this spectacular, and it is this spectacular. It is a visual and sonic feast with a wonderful heartfelt story, and it manages a great deal of slapstick comedy that doesn't undercut its message. The songs are super catchy and fold into the story, and they were so popular that several of them topped charts for weeks at a time during the summer, and not just soundtrack charts like regular music consumption top 40 charts. If you're feeling depressed by the first 2 picks on my list, or you're just in need of a really amazing fun time pick-me-up, then you cannot go wrong with K-pop Demon Hunters. It was also on my list of top albums for this year too. You can watch K-pop Demon Hunters on Netflix. Andor Season 2. I don't even care if you're not a Star Wars fan. This is absolutely one of the best television shows I have ever seen. Cassian Andor has given all of himself to the rebellion after what he witnessed and experienced in Season 1. The season takes place over the course of 5 years, and while we know that Cassian will end up in Rogue One, the show doesn't explain the twists and turns of how he will get there. More importantly, the show gives us the backstory to the Death Star and how the Empire put together a weapon of destruction by enslaving, murdering, and destroying whole planets to make it happen. I particularly liked the storyline about the suppression of the planet Gorman. The way the Gore are depicted and treated and expertly silenced is alarmingly accurate and extremely poignant in today's global political climate. This is the best piece of media related to Star Wars I have ever seen, and I'm a diehard Clone Wars fan. If you love Star Wars, this is a must-watch. If you have a passing interest in Star Wars, this is a must-watch. If you're not a Star Wars fan at all, this doesn't have any of the goofiness or camp or simplistic good guys versus bad guys, and I highly recommend it. You can hear my thoughts on Andor and Star Wars as a whole on this episode I did, and you can watch both seasons of Andor on Disney+. Wicked for Good. Part 2 is just as vibrant and powerful, and the songs hit just as hard as in Part 1. But just like the stage play, the second half feels rushed, and I was hoping they would take the time to slow down and show the passage of time. For those who don't know, a large part of this movie takes place at the same time as the events of The Wizard of Oz, so it can feel jarring to see some of those events zoom by so quickly. The movie works on the assumption that you're very familiar with the story of The Wizard of Oz. This is a safe assumption, because it's one of the most well-known and enduring pieces of Western media, but as I said, it is a bit jarring. That being said, the visuals are still outstanding, the choreography is exceptional, and the songs are, as always, perfectly performed and well produced. The 2 new songs were a nice addition, and while neither of them blew me away, the way Glinda's new song was shot was very impressive. The titular song, For Good, happens to be one of my favorites, and I will not lie, I bawled my eyes out in the theater. Wicked for Good is not as strong as Part 1, but both movies were clearly designed to be a single watching experience, and when understood as the grand conclusion to a fantastical story about friendship, fairy tales, wishes, wizards, and fascism, Wicked for Good is a spectacular and opulent finale. Before moving on to the other things I watched, I usually like to take a moment and address some overall thoughts from the year. This year, more than any other year in the past, I saw the encroachment of AI make big pushes into games, movies, and TV shows. And I'm not going to pretend like this revolutionary piece of technology isn't going to do some good out there in the world. I just want to take a minute to talk about the ways we're going to use it in the creative atmosphere and why I think that might be detrimental. The truth of the matter is that AI will probably not stop people from creating. We love to make new things and explore what it means to be human through our creative endeavors and then share them with others. The problem with AI becoming part of our creative endeavors is not that it will stop us from creating, but it will curb our ability to create in 2 important ways. The first is due to economic restrictions. Corporations like AI because it gives them the ability to control the means of creative production. AI can already produce content at a faster rate than a human, and it doesn't really matter if it's better because the sheer amount of content will drown out a human output. This means artists will have a harder time breaking into the attention economy and reduce their ability to share their work and get paid for their creative work. So creativity will take a back seat as making a living will not be sustainable as an artist. The second creative issue is that the reliance on AI to help us create actively makes us worse at being creative. Sometimes coming up with ideas is hard. The blank page or writer's block or whatever you're gonna call it is a crushing feeling as an artist. But if we rely on AI to develop our creativity, then we aren't really being creative at all. We've let something else do the epistemic labor for us, and that might be faster, and the ideas might even be really good, but it wasn't really yours. And you may argue, there's no such thing as new ideas anyway. Humans just synthesize their influences into something new, in the same way that AI does. Yes, but at least in the case of humans, you're doing the synthesis. This is a skill and a really important one, and if we stop practicing those skills, we may reach a day where we struggle to use them at all, and that would be a sad day in my estimation. So as much as you can, do not support AI. Find small online creators or local artists who don't use AI and support them directly. Let them know they can and should be rewarded for their creativity. And without further ado, here is the stuff that I still thought was good but wasn't as good as the other stuff I already said. Cobra Kai's final season, Wednesday Season 2, and Pokemon Concierge Season 2 are on Netflix. The Mighty Nine premiered on Amazon. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man and The Bear Season 4 can be found on Disney+. My Dress-Up Darling Season 2, Spy Family Season 2.5 and 3, and Anne Shirley are some anime I really liked. Rick and Morty Season 8, Bon Appetit Your Majesty, Zootopia 2, Weapons, Sinners, Pluribus, Chad Powers, Jurassic World Rebirth, Welfare, and Ballerina from the world of John Wick. And thank you so much for sticking by me. I know I only had 2 videos this year, but I'm starting up on grad school again, and that's been pretty time consuming. I do have videos that I want to work on. As soon as coursework is over, I'll get you some stuff in the summer. So thanks so much, and that's all happening right here on Cinemasters Ultimate Timeline.